The Dayton Police Department became involved in this investigation on May 20th. At that time, we had located a vehicle that had belonged or had been driven by Todd Burkhart and Kyla Hayton to the Dayton area. This vehicle was located over in the 900 block of West Stewart Street.
Can you confirm whose body was found in that house?
Yes, ma'am. Unfortunately, it was Kyla Hayton's body that was recovered this morning from 910 West Stewart Street.
So talk of this woman being pregnant. Is the child also deceased?
That is the information we had, that she was with child. Her autopsy is planned for tomorrow, but yes, the fetus would also be deceased.
What led you to that house today?
So Dayton police detectives have been working tirelessly over the weekend since basically the vehicle was found, attempting to locate both Mr. Burkhart and Ms. Hayton. Mr. Burkhart being located on Friday at 900 West Stewart Street. Detectives began canvassing the area with negative results. The area has a vast number of abandoned homes to be gone through. We even enlisted the help of our federal partners to leverage some advanced investigative techniques to locate these individuals. Today we were utilizing cadaver dogs, which were supplied by the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. The cadaver dogs located on the structure at 910 West Stewart Street, and Ms. Hayton was found deceased inside.
Is that building occupied or is that abandoned as well?
It is partially occupied, appears. The building does have electricity, which caused us a little bit of a problem in the search. Officers are obviously going door to door. Abandoned houses are obviously, if they're unsecured, fairly easy to search. The structure in question had electricity and there was a light on inside, making us believe that it was occupied.
Mr. Burkhart was found on Friday. Are you able to determine Ms. Hayton's condition, or whether she was recently deceased or also maybe a couple days ago?
That'll be a question for the coroner's office, but a layman's examination, she had been deceased for some time.
Now, they were supposedly came down here a week ago Saturday, so maybe 9 days ago. Any idea, like, this happened Wednesday, the day the car was found, or another time?
We are still looking into establishing the timeline, and right now, due to the nature of the investigation being ongoing, there's a lot of details I can't divulge at this time.
The coroner said Mr. Burkhart died of a gunshot wounds. Can you talk to us at all about apparent death cause yet of Ms. Hayton?
Obviously, the coroner will make the determination of the death of Ms. Hayton, but I can say that this is a homicide.
I know they did have a daughter. Do you know what's happening? Who's taking care of their daughter right now?
It is my understanding that their child is with family right now.
Lieutenant, what can you tell us about suspects? Possibility either Mr. Burkhart, Ms. Hayton, whether they're connected, same person you're looking for. What do you know?
Right now, we do have an individual in custody that we are labeling a person of interest. He is being held on weapons charges at the Montgomery County Jail. That individual is Larry Rogers.
And he is a person of interest in the homicides as well?
Correct.
Does he live close to that area?
Yes, sir. He has definite ties to that area. That's correct.
Do you have any idea how they came in contact with each other, the two victims and Mr. Rogers?
Without going into too much detail on the background, I can say that Mr. Burkhart and Mr. Rogers were acquaintances.
Was this a deal that went bad, do you think? What do you guys think happened here?
At this point in the investigation, I really don't want to get too far into motive. Like I said, we're still working through the backstory, trying to figure out what transpired and why.
Can you confirm that that Mr. Burkhart was actually coming down to Dayton to try and find a weapon?
I'm not going to confirm that at this time.
Any idea, were they both shot in one house and then she was taken to another house, or they were shot in separate houses?
I can say that they were both located in separate structures. Obviously, with Mr. Burkhart being found at 900 and Ms. Hayton being found at 910.
But do you know that if either one of them were actually killed in the houses where they were found?
At this time, I believe they were both killed in the house they were found.
Any idea of when charges could be filed, advanced charges for the murders could be filed?
The investigation is ongoing. Like I said, the detectives are working diligently, trying to uncover information. As always, police work doesn't happen in a vacuum. we could definitely use the public's assistance on this. Anybody who might have information related to this crime, we would encourage them to call the Dayton Police Department at 333-COPS, or if they wish to remain anonymous, they can call Crime Stoppers at 222-STOP.
Is there any kind of crime scene in Mansfield? Is there any connection to Mansfield, or is this located specifically to Dayton?
At this time, this is located specifically in Dayton. Mansfield had the original missing persons investigation, but due to the unfortunate circumstances and this horrible crime, the Dayton Police Department will be taking over the investigation for the homicide.
Do you know if any drugs were involved in this at all, or anything like that, just besides the firearm?
I can't comment on that at this time, ma'am.
Do you think Mr. Rogers is the only suspect, or are you looking for others?
At this time, Mr. Rogers is our sole person of interest, but once again, the investigation is still somewhat in the early stages. We are continuing to look into the situation.
Did you find weapons in either of the homes where either of the victims were found?
No, we did not.